Do you prefer a hard, medium, or soft pillow?
Oh, wow, that's a great question.
Have you never really thought about it before, have you?
I haven't because I haven't had a new pillow in almost a decade.
You've been using
Um,
the same pillow for 10 years?
yeah, before that it was probably, let me put it this way, when I moved to Florida, I was mid 20s and I was still sleeping with the pillow that I was sleeping with when I was in 8th grade.
Why do you keep a pillow that long? You just get attached to it? Is it your wubba? You got to keep it?
Well, she's still around. And it's been a decade. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a familiarity thing, right? It's a comfort thing. Like I don't think that I keep very many things. But pillow, like my bed is one of those things. Like it needs to be a certain way. There needs to be a certain pillow, blanket. It needs to be a certain kind of mattress. Like I'm pretty stingy about my bedspreads.
What do you think is weirder as an adult? Waterbed or air mattress?
Like somebody sleeping on an air mattress permanently.
Regularly. This is your main mattress.
Are you over the age of 35?
You're over the age of what I would consider to be an adult, which is 27. I consider an adult to be a 27-year-old.
If you don't have a significant other, then an air mattress is okay. If you do, then an air mattress is not okay. And a waterbed just isn't okay after, like, I don't even think they should be for adults. Like, if anyone's ever had sexual relations on a waterbed, I mean, I don't even know how that's comfortable. You just sink in, and like, how do you gain any? Like, how do you? How does it work?
I mean, I had an air mattress and I was able to satisfy, but I don't know how you satisfy on a. I didn't say another person. I may have just been me. I'm pretty sure
Yeah, you did.
if you have a water bed, you're not getting anything. Like it's just not happening.
Like I wonder what the origin were of waterbeds and what made them famous. Like what rich person was like, I want a bed of water, and then that was it. You know what I mean?
Okay, let's go into shoutouts where I look up the origin of waterbed.
Waterbed, eh? All right, shout outs here. Appreciate all of you per usual. So pick out a couple of you here. Will Reyes, Flynn Walter, Charlie Carter, Joe Shiable, Amanda Sprouse, Tony Bussey. Let's see here. Aaron Garza, Jordan Crampton, Arby Villanueva, Kathy Magbooty, Peter Jones, and Chris McCoo. Appreciate you all this week.
I looked up the history of waterbed and about 3 seconds into it realized, oh, I don't really want to read this whole thing. So the modern waterbed was patented in 1971. Oh,
Okay.
it was popular. In the 1980s, 20% of the mattress market was a waterbed, and 22% in 1987 has now become not very popular, and by 2013, only accounted for 5% of new bed sales. So the waterbed was a big deal in the 1980s.
Did you say 27% in 87?
22% in 1987, which is like, so that's one in five. One in
Wow.
five people had a waterbed, which is crazy popular for something that's not practical in any way. Fascinated by that.
All right. Well, I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this episode,
Okay.
since
Okay.
we are less than 2 weeks out from the election.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
I know I don't care who you're voting for. I'm not bringing this up because of that. I just thought it was funny, and that was Donald Trump going to work at a McDonald's. However, and it makes sense logistically and from like a news point of view, it makes sense why the restaurant was closed and all that stuff, and everything was kind of fabricated. But I don't. Does it count? I guess that's my question. Doesn't count that he actually worked at a McDonald's if everything was made up and fabricated. It doesn't,
No.
right?
Like no, it doesn't
No, it
count.
doesn't.
Like if you didn't really work at the McDonald's. You were just it was a campaign event. You weren't really doing anything. And look, left or right, this applies to whoever the person that you like is. if you
Sure.
go to something and it's supposed to be you working there, but the entire thing is staged and the business is actually closed, then you didn't really work there. Like it's entirely fake. It's
Yeah.
entirely fake. So like that doesn't count, and it's kind of whichever side was going to do something like that, it was ridiculous. But I can say that I really can't wait for November to be over. And I think that everybody would agree with that.
I will say that I think the sentiment now is from everybody in America, whether you like one person or the other, is that you almost hope it's a landslide one way or the other. That way, it's just over. Like,
Yeah, I
you know,
do hope that. I do hope it's just a whooping for whoever wins.
let's see. We have one RIP to give this week, and that is to Liam Payne,
Oh, that's sad.
former star of, or I guess he still is a star, or was a star, but former founder of One Direction, which, if you're not familiar with them, they were kind of like the 2010s British version of maybe the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC back in the boy band era days.
It's crazy to me that we don't really have bands anymore. What's the biggest band of the last 10 years?
Oh, I mean,
Whereas before,
don't ask me.
yeah, there's not big bands anymore. Like when I was growing up, everything was a band and there wasn't a lot of solo acts. Now it's basically all solo acts.
You know what's kind of nuts is the and this is just a total rant of mine, and it kind of goes back to what you said about bands when we were growing up. Ticket prices for anybody are insane. Like, I don't want to pay $150 to go watch The Offspring, though I love The Offspring.
I don't think I would pay $10 to go see The Offspring.
Oh, well, that's your own fault. They're fantastic, by the way.
I'm sure they are, but I wouldn't pay $10 to go see the Offspring.
Are there any musicians or bands that you would pay $200 or more to go see live?
No, Deadmau for an experience if it was in a city that I wanted to go see.
Okay, all right.
That's
Look at you
pretty
dropping
much it.
knowledge.
Or a similar act like that, a kind of thing where there's like a lot of energy in the room. I would pay a decent amount of money to go see something like that. The only person that I really regret not going to see is Tom Petty. I wish I would have seen Tom Petty before he passed away.
I'm right there with you. I had the chance and squandered it, and here we are.
Yeah, that's a regret. That's a musical regret of mine.
This is completely random, but I saw a video on Facebook, and it made me think of I should ask you this question. Would you voluntarily get into a shark cage in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean by yourself? And if no, would there be amounts of money that you would do it for?
I mean, honestly, like $100, I would do it. Well, because
I
I
don't
mean,
know,
it's
man.
like the shark's not getting through metal. I mean, this is the kind of thing that was now a homemade shark cage. Like if this was...
I built it, I'm building the shark cage.
No, I'm not getting in it. $100,000, I would probably do it for. But I mean, it's like a safe thing. It to me, a shark cage is like a roller coaster. It's dangerous, but it's not really dangerous. Has there ever been a shark that got through a shark cage, or somebody who died because they went on a shark cage adventure? To me, it's like a roller coaster. Like, it's dangerous, it's this, but it's not really. It's actually pretty much perfectly safe.
I mean, I'm sure that a shark has gotten through at some point. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure it has happened.
It's kind of like when the people go exotic game hunting, and the lion turns on them and kills them. Like, what do you think's gonna happen?
Oh,
like you're trying to hunt them. I know you're not the biggest fan of barbecue, but I felt the need to tell all of our Midwest listeners that there is a barbecue museum opening next month in Kansas City, Missouri, if you want to go check it out.
I wonder if is there an uproar about the fact that the barbecue museum is in Kansas City. Kansas City, I'm a native Kansan. Kansas City is famous for barbecue, but I don't think that it should be in Kansas City. I think it should probably be in Memphis.
Man, see, that's tough. I've had barbecue in Memphis. I've never had it in in Kansas City. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm the wrong person to ask. I'm sure somebody from the Deep South would tell you it should be somewhere in the Deep South.
It should be in the Deep South. I would consider Memphis. Well, I don't know if Memphis is or not, but I think that the barbecue museum belongs in the South. I don't think the barbecue museum belongs in Kansas City.
I mean, Michigan has the best barbecue. So I'm kidding. That's a joke. Just wanted to get a reaction out of you.
Somebody commented about your Detroit style pizza, and they were like, "I live in Detroit, and that's not a real thing."
I'm okay. Well, I don't know who that person is, but they're wrong.
Okay.
And
Well, they live in Detroit. You don't live in Detroit. You live in Madison Heights.
Well, thank you. It's way to put it out there.
Nobody's gonna find you. I'm always obsessed about people like don't put my
People don't
address
know my
out there.
name.
Like if somebody wants to find you, they can find you pretty easily.
Yeah, and anybody. You can look up celebrities. You could look up a random person. I mean, addresses are everywhere. Unfortunately, I actually don't think that should be the case, but it is. So whatever.
It is. I agree.
All right, on to Elon Musk, and it's not his view related, but I thought it was interesting that he is giving out, every event he does. If you follow politics, you know what side he's on. Whatever, I don't care about that. But he's giving out $1 million to a random person. He says that comes to a rally that he's at. So it got me thinking. If somebody were to go, hey, if you go to Elon Musk's rally, you're going to get $1 million. Like, I would have to be guaranteed to get that money, I think. But I'd probably go for $1 million.
Oh, I would go even if I wasn't guaranteed, just for the chance at it. Like $1 million, there's not a lot of things I wouldn't do for $1 million. I don't know if that sentence makes grammatical structure sentence, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, the list of things I wouldn't do for $1 million is not a long one.
I guess the problem of it all for me is like, $1 million is a lot of money, but it's not like life-changing money anymore for most people.
Oh, I think it is. I think $1 million. You can't retire and live the wealthy lifestyle off of $1 million anymore. But imagine if you could pay off your house.
Man, that would
right?
be nice.
So $1 million is. I think 100,000, anything over 100,000 is life-changing money. Even 50,000, you could say, is life-changing money.
Yeah, I mean,
if you did it all at one time. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping to hit the lottery soon, and then you'll never see me again.
I couldn't even imagine that. I couldn't even imagine the feeling of like hitting the lottery and being like, you just won $500 million. What?
So when it gets above like 750, I usually play, but I never stay up usually for the drawing, or like I never pay attention to it. And I always like the next morning I'm like a kid at Christmas. Because I'm like, oh my God, no one's won it. Do I have the ticket? Oh wait, the first number was 15. Well, it's a 47. So
I guess I do like buy a ticket. I'll buy a ticket every once in a while and then forget about it. That's usually how I do it too.
Also, I wonder, and this is going to be an ignorant question, but I don't know the answer off the top of my head. And I hope you do. Do other countries have the lottery?
I don't know. I don't live in other countries.
I was just wondering, like, do they have?
Why would I know that?
The power? I don't know, because you're a history major from.
What does that have to do with history, though?
Kansas State, Missouri.
First of all, it's Kansas City, Kansas. Oh, the lottery exists in at least 100 other countries.
Wow! See, I didn't know.
That's more than I thought that it was going to be. It's a lot more. Wow.
All right. Well.
Okay.
Anyways.
Okay. So our top 5 is top 5 noodle dishes. There's a lot of different kinds of noodle dishes. So what's your number 5?
So I have to ask you a question before I get going. It's going to dictate a lot about how our lists are going to go here. Do you have like individual?
I'm not answering any of your questions about it. You need to have confidence in your list and say the list as you want to say it. I'm not answering any questions or divulging any information about my own list. If you accidentally look the fool, then that's your own problem. I'm not going to bail you out ahead of time.
Fine. Then my number 5, the only one that I think you have to put on here on your top 5 list, because it is the granddad of all noodle dishes, and that is spaghetti.
Spaghetti is not a noodle. Spaghetti is pasta.
I mean, what's the difference? Pasta are noodles.
Yeah, but noodles are made with egg. Pasta is not made with egg.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
Pasta.
I looked this up because I was going to put spaghetti on my list as well. And I looked it up, and it said that spaghetti is not a noodle. It is a pasta. So
do you use eggs to make pasta?
No, you use eggs to make noodles.
Yes, pasta can be made with eggs.
Can be. Look, are you going to argue with me? The internet says that there is a specific statement for some governing body, the International Pasta Association, says that spaghetti is not a noodle, it is a pasta.
Well, you know what? Then I guess we're just going to have to agree to disagree on our list. Because
there is no way to agree to disagree. You're just wrong.
Noodles and pasta are the same friggin' things. I don't care.
Apparently they're not. This is a sensitive subject. This
International Pasta Association or whatever. I don't care. Spaghetti is my number 5, a noodle dish.
Okay, well, just so you know that having spaghetti as your number 5 is wrong. Because spaghetti is not a noodle, it is a pasta. My number 5 is ramen. I love ramen, and I'll be honest with you, I still like the cheap ramen that you got in college, that when I was in college was like 50 cents. I like that stuff, man.
I've only had ramen a handful of times, and it's just meh. Just meh.
Oh, it's good. I like it. I probably think really I just like the salt and the fact that it costs 50 cents, or used to cost 50 cents.
I mean, my list is going to seem irrelevant now, but I don't know what else to do with it.
Well, you've ruined it because you didn't do any research and probably put all pasta when you should have put noodles.
I guarantee you that it's a very fine line. Most pasta is made with eggs.
Oh, yeah, somebody just decided this. It's not like a real thing. Just one person one day decided that, you know what? Spaghetti, not a noodle. It's a pasta now. Stupid. And then got all uppity about it whenever somebody brought it up.
It's stupid. All right, well, my number 4 are garlic butter noodles.
I don't know if I've ever had that, but it sounds like a mix of noodles, garlic, and butter.
It's amazing. It is. And it can go with basically any dish that you make.
I looked up a lot of noodle dishes because I was also confused by the whole noodle pasta thing, and I didn't see garlic butter anywhere. I feel like you just made that up and just went fat kid style and was like, you know what? I like garlic and butter. Put it on these noodles.
Well,
Never heard of it.
You're hurting Mama Shull's feelings, all right? You're hurting her feelings.
Oh, so your mom made it. You're like, Mom, will you make me a homemade dish? Did you used to ask her, what was your birthday dish? When your mom said, John, what do you want for your birthday? What did you tell her? Like, Mom, I want this for my birthday.
Fried chicken. Yeah, that's true.
Mine was cream tacos, which is basically nachos.
Okay. Yeah, man. Man, fried chicken is good. Anyways, what's your number 4?
I do love some fried chicken. Chicken noodle. The only purely, I think, American noodle that I would put on the list of best noodles is chicken noodle. I don't
like chicken noodle soup.
Chicken noodle soup. You got a problem with that? Fixes everything. Read a book.
I don't know what that means. What does that even mean? Read a book.
I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. They're always saying chicken noodle for this, chicken noodle for that. Read a book. Whatever. I don't know what it actually does.
Isn't it like chicken noodle soup for the teenage soul or something?
Something like that, but chicken noodle is supposed to fix everything. Imagine if you come in there with a broken arm and the doctor's just like, have some chicken noodle soup. Like, oh, that's going to fix it? That's what's going to make it better? Okay, buddy.
All right, my number 3 are drunken noodles.
Okay. My number 3 is spaghetti. Let's move on to your number 2.
I swear to God, man, you frustrate me sometimes.
It's not a noodle, but it can still be a noodle to me.
I mean, my number 2 and 1 aren't going to be. You're going to have issues with them. My number 2 is lasagna.
Yeah, dude, that's definitely not a noodle. That's definitely a pasta.
I mean, it's a pasta, but But don't you call once again? I apologize for not knowing this, I suppose, but I always thought pasta were noodles.
You're really pushing no. Things have different names for different reasons, right?
First off, you have no credibility.
It's called a dog because it is not a cat.
You have no credibility because you chastised me about spaghetti, and then you put spaghetti higher on your list than I did.
But I would not put lasagna on there. Lasagna clearly not a noodle. In no way is lasagna a noodle. That's pushing it too far. You might be able to get away with spaghetti, but you pushed it too far. My number 2 is mac and cheese. I don't know if this is a great...
So just so everyone knows...
Oh, I put completely the wrong description in the edit in our live stream too. It's totally wrong. It's about Transformers and sports nicknames. Sorry about that. It's supposed to be noodles.
You know what the worst part of everything is about this whole list? My number 1's mac and cheese.
Your number 1 is mac and cheese. But okay, here was the thing: as I looked it up, is that macaroni is apparently not a noodle either and is a pasta, but Wikipedia has mac and cheese listed on their list of noodle dishes. So there's some debate. There's no debate about spaghetti, but there seems to be some debate about mac and cheese.
I get the difference, I guess, between pasta and noodles, and that's that eggs are used in some and not others. But I feel like nobody knows the difference unless you're well-equipped in the culinary arts of noodle-isms.
It is amazing to me, and we have on this podcast, for people who may be just new listeners, we have interviewed a lot of scientific minds. A lot of people who are, in some cases, the preeminent scientific mind in their field. And the thing that they will tell you is, the more you know about something, the less you actually know about something. Like, if you can get down to the definition of anything, it makes no sense. Like, what's the ultimate definition between a noodle and a pasta? And the farther you get down, the less the definition makes any sense. Nothing in life really makes any sense if you get right down to it.
No, it's all interpretation of what you think of something.
What you decide. You create your own reality. I do not have mac and cheese as my number 2. I have a real noodle at my number 1, which is pad thai.
That's a good one. That's all my honor. Put it on my honorable mention. It's probably one of my favorite Thai, dishes for sure.
I would say that pad thai is something that completely exposed me to other cuisines. As a kid in Kansas, like growing up, it's like, wait, you can have this? What's this? And it was amazing. And then you try other things.
Yeah, sure. I mean, in Detroit, we were just eating pizza, so.
Would you say you're an adventurous eater? You're obviously a big eater.
That was a good one. Yeah, I'm an adventurous. Yeah, I'm an adventurous eater. I won't turn something down for sure. I might not eat it again, but I won't turn it down. And like you said, it kind of shows. But
listen, I know a lot of people who know you well, and they all would say that John Shull will shove anything in his mouth.